All right, folks, we got a patch coming on the way, arriving on January 28th, which is tomorrow. One big change for standard format and then a bunch of duels changes I haven't even looked at yet, but we got to talk through. Listen, my hair is beyond solving. I don't know what's wrong with it. It's just messy. I never went to bed since recording the video earlier this morning. Just roided out still. So here we are. Let's talk about this patch. Up first, Hysteria getting a really significant functional change, staying at the same mana cost, but now you'll only be able to attack target enemy minions for Hysteria's effect, which I'm sure was intended as a fix to the Wretched Tiller style combos, where you can now no longer target your Wretched Tiller so that it goes off like crazy and destroys wild formats fun. So great fix if you're a wild format player. I think that's a really, really nice change to solve the Tiller problem. But there are definitely some unintended consequences here for the rest of us or people trying to play this card in standard. I think it is sometimes notably worse now because it just lacks a lot of flexibility. Sometimes you need to play this card just because you have the biggest minion on board and you just want to use your big minion to kill all the other stuff very efficiently. You can no longer do that. Also, we were using this to great success with cards like Apotheosis, buffing our own minions with Apotheosis, then attacking multiple times to heal up for like 1 billion health. And then there's also even people using things like Kargath in Warlock when you get him off Envoy Rustwicks and attacking multiple times with Kargath Prime to gain a ton of armor. All those sort of sneaky shenanigan style plays are also lost with this change. It's not just Tiller. And I think that makes Hysteria notably worse. It's still going to be a good tool to like clean up, symmetrical boards your opponent has, or like have 2/8/8s, like boom, you kill them both. Or if they got that one big minion, you can of course use it to wipe their board. So I don't think this loses all utility. I think it's still a really solid card, just not nearly as good as it used to be, and it doesn't have that kind of extra utility. So a bit of a sad loss in the means to fix the Tiller OTK. We lost something else. I don't know if that was the plan. So kind of wish there's something a little different there, but nonetheless, it's probably most important that Tiller gets fixed. That combo gets removed anyway, because I think that was destroying a lot of people's wild experiences. So if we got a little casualty along the way, I guess so be it. So moving on to these Duels updates. We got a change to Demon Hunter's hero power, and I'm reading these for the first time right along with you. So after you play the left or rightmost card, gain 1 attack this turn. This now reads, after you play the left or rightmost card, gain... it costs 1 mana. Oh, goodness. Okay, so you have to spend mana on it instead of it just being passive. Okay, so that is definitely going to slow this effect down a little bit. That's great news, because right now it just started stacking up. This could really limit your ability to play those cards, creating some very awkward turns from time to time. So that's a big hit to Outlander, I'm sure. We've also got death games for Hunter. This will now trigger a random friendly minion's death rattle instead of a targeted minion's death rattle, which certainly will hurt the consistency a little bit, because sometimes you'd have like, Mad Scientist, you really wanted like the body from an egg instead, and this kind of makes it iffy which one you're going to get. But at the end of the day, it's still going to be a pretty efficient way to get death rattles out, I think, because you're just spending 2 to get like 4/4s half the time, and sometimes you'll only have that one death rattle minion anyway. So the downsides here are small. They will definitely limit the power level of this card by a little, but I think this hero power, but I think it still remains a pretty good hero power. It may not be like one of the best like it has been, but I think it'll still be very competitive. We've also got Bone Crusher here, now going up to 8 mana, and it's a beast. We talked about this a lot, like what is it if it's not a beast? So interesting change there. That does have implications in Duels. Also just a lot more expensive, so slowing down that reload turn with Bone Crusher, that hurts Bone Crusher a lot, and actually that does hurt Death Games even more for that base kind of Death Rattle Hunter build, so that's a really intriguing change. I think Death Rattle Hunter gets notably weaker across both of these changes, but probably, again, still remains fairly competitive. We got some buffs here as well. Fractured Spirits for Priest going up to 4 mana, or down to 4 mana from 5, which makes it much more affordable. This is a kind of a hard effect to use. It's like, well, you can't really steal great stuff from your opponent. If you silence it, you're just kind of getting the stats. That's not that exciting. Using it on your own things is often very awkward as well. So making it cheaper does make it like a stronger tempo play as opposed to like a sneaky sort of play where you're trying to get cool things out of it, which can definitely help. And then Royal Greatsword getting the same treatment for Paladin, going down to 5 mana. Man, the first time I ever played Duels, I thought this weapon was so broken because nobody knew what to do yet. Seeing it buffed is crazy. I think this makes it really, really strong. Paladin is probably still got some problems to overcome and some weaknesses as a class overall, but man, this is really, really cheap just as an awesome big weapon. This could be like an aggro card, but could also, of course, still do that recruit style stuff that gets you a lot of big minions. So I wouldn't sleep on this change. I feel like that's a really significant difference in mana, even though it's only 1. 5 mana is a nice spot to play things like that. We've also got Herald of the Scaled Ones changing into a dragon. Of course, this looked like a dragon. It was weird that it wasn't dragon. Everybody's like, why is this not a dragon? Well, now it is. Balance remains exactly the same, but of course, that is a huge buff because there are all kinds of dragon-based and minion-type-based synergies. So this card does get better, even though nothing else on the card changed. Also, some treasure pool updates here for Duels. Sandy Surprise has been removed from the passive treasures pool. So no more crazy stealthy shenanigans. And then Cannibalism has moved from passive treasure pool 1 to 2. I think that's great. Cannibalism was really frustrating to play against and often felt really powerful if anybody had any kind of wide board potential. So I think both of these changes will definitely help some of the early power level spikes. Also, some bug fixes here you're welcome to review at your leisure. But all in all, some nice Duels changes. I think this will help pull down some of the more powerful builds, particularly Death Rattle Hunter, that can feel pretty oppressive if they get rolling with their Death Rattles and have that big reload. You finally stabilize. It's like, oh, sorry, Bone Crusher's pulling them right back in the game. That's going to be harder. And a definitely huge change to Hysteria here as well. I don't love this one. I kind of wish we'd gone for Death Speaker, maybe even Wretched Tiller, because I thought Hysteria had some really fun implications when you got to use your own minions, but maybe they thought that was already looking a little too powerful as well, which I could totally understand. All that said, still it's good that Wild gets a fix here. So all that said, I'm going to try to fix my hair one more time, even though it will not participate. It has decided to go sideways. But thanks for watching. Share your thoughts on all these buffs and changes to Duels and Standard and Wild in the comments below. But until then, thanks much, and until next time, game on.
Hey, buddy, watch this.